Hello, Uganda. Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Hot Seat on KFM. And tonight, all roads lead to Nambole Stadium, where Alan Okello, the Ugandan skipper, will be leading his men into the stadium to stand against the giants of West Africa or North Africa, Algeria. And in the Pamoja games that are taking place in East Africa, Uganda's first game is happening in a few minutes from now, after I've seen an opening match in Tanzania and in Kenya. How will Uganda perform? And tonight, my guest is from is a man of so many hats. He enjoys sports, he enjoys tourism, but he loves his country. All in shorts and t-shirts and flats. The CEO of Great Lake Safaris, Amos Wekesa, is in the house. Thank you so much for joining us. Good evening.
Good evening, Patrick. It actually feels very weird that I'm in the studios on a Monday. I also enjoy the Tuesday.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And because of the heat, you're even seated in a different studio.
I know, man. I'm sitting at a higher level, man.
So, Amos, I know Uganda prepared for this in terms of, well, the leaders. It looks like the people are not moving along with the politicians. But the games are finally here. Uganda is participating in them. You know much about branding, about promotion, about marketing. How have we done the job of marketing Uganda, marketing our soccer abilities, marketing our stadiums, marketing the games?
I think first of all we must congratulate Uganda for actually hosting the AFCON. No.
This is the Chan.
Yeah, Chan. Yeah, in Uganda, and because it takes a lot of courage for a country to actually lead and win both Chan and AFCON, and that's a very, very, very critical thing that we must appreciate, because even when we have not pretty much prepared in terms of continental and international appeal, it will still bring some kind of PR of the country. And opportunities probably for some of our players, because don't forget that when this, for example, China happening now, there are lots of scouts that are watching from across the continent, but also from outside Africa, that might be interested in some of our boys, and that will be an export. So whenever you get a chance to have your Okello, for example, playing in South Africa, it means you're earning some of the runs that South Africans make. If you go to, say, one of the teams in the UK, you make some of the pounds, and that's how countries grow. I've always told Ugandans that there is no country that can grow just internally. There are very few countries that have done fairly well for them to stand in a stage where they can pretty much over 50% depend on themselves, and that's, I think, India produces about 100%. But consumes close to between 80 to 90%.
But it is the world's biggest nation now in terms of population. Overtook China last year in April.
Absolutely.
1.4 billion.
Absolutely. People. So the internal consumption is very high, except also, the truth is that they also export a lot. I mean, if you look at, for example, Uganda when flying to Mumbai, because we had conditions that we signed against in the 70s that did not allow us to actually take things to India. And we're not even negotiating now. So the belly of Uganda is going to Mumbai hardly goes with any product to Mumbai. But it comes with pharmaceutical products, comes with all this. We're not very hungry as people to actually succeed. We talk about poverty, but we're not committed to fighting poverty in that line. But Uganda Cranes, we wish you well. We're behind you, and I'm sure every Ugandan is excited about this opportunity.
Let's look before the branding and the marketing and the money that can come and should really come. What the benefits of the games like these bring for Uganda? I see cohesion. I see the Ugandan story woven together. I see Ugandans momentarily even forgetting I see them, in their yellow, red, and black, marching in unison, talking about Uganda. When you go to Nambole, you really feel proud to be Ugandan, especially when you see how people are united, which is not very common nowadays.
I think I agree with you. I think Ugandans are generally not bad people. We're just working in an environment that is not economically focused. But I'm telling you, what you're saying makes a lot of sense. I have seen every time Uganda Cranes plays a foreign team on this land, the amount of patriotism, no one cares about your tribe, no one cares about your height, no one cares about your financial status. That's what happens actually during that time. But at the same time, you have so many entrepreneurs that are born that day.
Oh yes.
You'll find guys selling t-shirts.
Lots of merchandise today.
Lots of merchandise. It shows you the amount of dreams of young people, the desire for them to progress, you know, and that is something that I wish leadership looked and saw, that Ugandans are yearning to actually get out of poverty.
So that sense of patriotism, for example, where Ugandans now do not care about where you come from, what political ideology you belong to, or whatever party it is, how can that be carried forward for Ugandans? Because we need that, don't we? How do we carry it forward? By the way, I was in my home area in western Uganda, in Fort Portal. The amount of enthusiasm and love that you find nowadays for football is incredible. It's something I've never seen. If Chegegwa is playing in Nyangavu or Mwenge North is playing in Mwenge South, you know, you could say heaven is coming down in Fort Portal, and everybody, they're riding border borders, motorcycles and taxis, they're all going to Ruhinga. I had never seen something like that.
You know, first of all, you should understand the desire for people to be healthy across the world is just growing. And sports, if you look at the statistics of sports, for example, sports tourism, are shocking. In 2025, which is 2024-2025, the total earnings for out of tourism, sport tourism was $685 billion
in the world.
In the world,
yes.
The estimated earnings of the world by 2030 is $2.1 trillion from sports. And 2 years later, which is 2032, is 2.3 and above $1 trillion is going to be earned because of sports. So you can see, and we're not talking too many years from now. We're talking about just a few years ahead of us. Of course, but when you look at the statistics, of course, what is leading mainly is running now in terms of the earnings from tourism. Because what's happening is that running, a lot of rich people, a lot of people who are enlightened are trying to look after their health. So that's why you saw London Marathon happen in April. And the moment it happened, the next day, they opened up for 2026. 1.1 million people applied to run for the London Marathon for 2026. 1.1 in one day.
For 2026?
For 2026, and there are only 56,000 slots. Yeah, and the UK for London Marathon, that 1 week the UK makes 150 million pounds from people that go to London for London Marathon. So that's why it controls about 23% of the amount of money that the world actually earns from sports. So as a country, Ugandans love sports, and there's talent in this country. You've seen people from Sebe. I must have given you a story of, for example, Renzori Marathon. So Renzori Marathon started 2022 because there's no proper certified marathon where Ugandans could qualify for Olympics until Renzori Marathon came on the scene. Now, we spent $3,000, went to Kapchora and picked random runners. The guy that won Renzori Marathon last year, called Abel Chilingat, had never run a marathon.
Oh my God!
He didn't even have $3 in his life. We can tell you. That time, yeah, he didn't have the $3 that day.
How do you spot somebody like that?
No, we just brought a whole 2 buses. So everybody was coming to compete. But you know, that's not where the story ends. Because we were certified last year, we were certified in April, and the marathon happened in August. Adidas was following us. They picked Abel Cherengat out of the whole crowd, because they only picked one. This year we're going to have so many scouts coming in to pick runners from Uganda at Renzori Marathon. We have guys coming from Dubai, the US, trying to pick runners. So Adidas picked the guy. He came to Kampala for the second time. He went to the airport of Uganda for the first time, flew to Portugal in November last year and won Portugal Marathon. What? Yes, Cherengat. He's now different. He's built a house, he's looked after his family. You didn't see that story in the newspaper.
Oh my God.
So there is talent.
Natural talent.
Natural talent in this country.
These are the kind of guys, when you meet them, when you meet especially those scouts, oh, he's just a natural. He's the kind of guy
I'll give you a story after when
yes, but now, back on our sports and CHAN taking place in Uganda, of course, maybe it was a very clever move that East African countries, Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda, decided to bid and have the Pamoja games together, because it probably would have been very difficult or impossible for Uganda to bid alone and get this.
Yeah, I think at the rate at which we are developing, for example, the stadiums, in future we can actually be able to bid independently as Uganda. But I also see that we're just unfortunate people. As you know, opportunities come our way, but we don't know how to harness opportunities. Because we knew that CHAN was going to come here. When was that? 3 years ago? We even discussed this about 3 years ago. And I remember that time I said, what would I do as Amos if we have won CHAN? One, I would identify every country that is going to play in Uganda. That's number one. I would identify the talent that will come and actually play for those countries. 6 or a year in advance, I would find a way of getting those top players from Algeria, fly them to Uganda, South Africa, fly them to Uganda, so that they go around the country. I film them enjoying Uganda and pay them something to just talk about how they will be coming to Uganda to enjoy. That's what we're doing with the Rwenzori Marathon. We're bringing some of the top runners from South Africa coming this next 2018. They will be arriving the country. They'll be going to see the gorillas, the chimpanzees. So South Africa is going to follow South Africans enjoying Uganda and also run.
And in the way, branding Uganda.
And in the way, branding Uganda.
Promoting Uganda.
Absolutely. Because why would you spend, for example, give $1.5 million to CHAN for marketing alone? But CHAN can't do our job. We can't sit back. They can't do our job. We should have started marketing.
You have to get somebody who understands Uganda, who's passionate about Uganda, who is rooting for Uganda.
Absolutely.
Because CHAN is rooting for CHAN, he's not rooting for Uganda.
Absolutely. Now, the difference between
but
Uganda...
I understand you actually sit on some of those committees.
No, but I can advise. I can't.
How come you're making a lot of sense to
I have... There's nothing I've said here that I'm not saying there. I think the key thing, there's no budget. The budgets came late for marketing. There is interest to put budgets towards hardware, the stadiums and stuff. But the understanding of how software works, hardware can never work without software. That kind of thinking eludes us as a people in Uganda. Now, of course, just recently they say, okay, now a budget has come in, but it's late. You can't do anything. People plan in advance to go to countries to play.
You have to prepare.
To prepare. But that's why I say you should have done that in advance. Number two, the thing that I also had said, even 2 years ago, and I've even said it, you have to fight for 2 very important matches. There is opening game that Tanzania took, and the closing match that's going to. Because those ones have so much PR behind it.
Because the opening showcases everything, the culture, the whatever, that's when you put up your show.
Absolutely.
And then of course, the closing is, you're going to see who's going to carry the trophy.
Absolutely. You see, while CHAN is in Uganda, even when the Ugandans fill the stadium, that does not bring economic value to the country. Why? It's because the money that those guys are going to spend at CHAN is money that already exists in the economy. But if South Africans, if the same population of South Africans came to watch South Africa play against Uganda in Nambole, all our hotels will be full, our bodas will be full, but with brand new money. That's what we need as a country. Our total exports as a country are very small. Our total exports as a country last year was $9.1 billion against $12.12 billion in terms of import. But even that, a lot of it is gold. Quite a lot of it is a gold. We're not a primary market, we're a secondary market. So you can't say actually the 9.1...
Because the money for gold is actually not even staying in Uganda.
Absolutely, it goes back to Congo, stuff like that. So when you're poor like that, you have to be very clever in thinking. You have to be hungry enough to push that thinking for you to actually enjoy it. Of course, guys are like, oh, let's take advantage of this time that has come. We've lost it. I was in Cape Town, and when I came back, I went to exhibit at the Two Oceans, which brings in 35,000 runners and 90,000 people are flying to the country to just watch the Two Oceans. Bro, while we were exhibiting there, I think the amount of merchandise that is done there is millions of dollars per day. There's a big whole stadium where you have this exhibition. But the key thing is that everyone that came to our stand said they were coming for AFCON and CHAN. But we're not talking about Uganda. They were talking about Kenya and Tanzania.
I think the government has missed one issue. We need to put the right people in right positions. have people who are intentional when it comes to marketing Uganda and branding Uganda. You know, some people just maybe you feel an office, you know, you have your salary, and you know, we have to market Uganda as if Uganda was a business entity, at Uganda Incorporated. So you're looking at the what? At the expenditure and the losses, and make sure you're avoiding the losses. But the problem is we're not looking at Uganda as Uganda Incorporated.
Absolutely. I think
if we did that, and whoever is in office is passionate about that, is determined to make sure that Uganda gains, probably would. So the issue is, we probably have not deployed the right people in the right places.
No, but I also believe that people in government, public service, and politicians, in many ways, actually don't understand their situation. They don't understand that we are very far behind as a country. That what URA collects, which is just slightly less than 30 trillion shillings, goes to paying debt. What we survive on, if you look at our budgeting, which is about close to 72 trillion, you borrow close to 40 trillion in order to split. So when we borrow, people think we have earned. And that's why that's why people don't care about how we position a country. And I always tell people that normally the population must push this, because if the population doesn't push this, what happens is that when you don't pay enough taxes, when there's no, when there's no international business in the country, there will never be growth in local businesses, that's for sure. The growth will be too small for it to make any sense. But if that, in my opinion, happens, we focus in that direction, you'll be able then to say, who do I put in which position, and where are the resources for me to actually be able to get back the money? Because governments as a population, us, we should be concerned if the government is not concerned, because governments by the way never run out of money. One, if you don't pay taxes, they borrow against your future, and they consume now.
They mortgage your future.
Yeah, they mortgage your future. So us, as a population, we must be awake. And you can see, when I say politicians, it's not them alone. Imagine somebody from opposition stood up and started talking about these things we're talking about. Because these are not the conversations you see on TV, these are not the conversations you hear on radio. These are not general conversations.
But also, at the end of the day, probably running a government is very different. There are so many things, interests for you have to balance. Even when you think about putting the right people in right positions, you're like, this region, whom do I have? This tribe, whom do I have? This language, whom do I have? This group, whom do I have? So sometimes I think the leaders are always juggling, so where do I put this and the other for me to make,
but
sustain my political capital?
That's an excuse. Let me tell you, because if politics, today as I speak, politics is the biggest business in the country. That's for sure. It's the biggest business. It's what everybody's talking about. It's what everybody is focused on, online, on radio, on TV. That's what we're focused on. We're not focusing on the economy. Economy is a composition of so many businesses. That's what an economy is all about. Now, if the businesses don't work, then politics controls the economy. When politics controls the economy, then you're dead. You actually have no economy. But when economy controls politics, then you have something to talk about. Because then the priorities of government, priorities of anybody, if you're going to elect a LOC5 of Mbale, that LOC5 must be a guy who's talking about economic opportunities of Mbale. The mayor of Kampala should be thinking, what are the top 4 things that bring people to a city? Number 1 is economic opportunities. Number 2, health. Number 3, education. Number 4, security. Those are the 4 things. However, the health, education, and security are all supported by the economy. So a mayor of Kampala, for you to get a seat, you should get a seat based on the ability to say, I am going to position Kampala for economic opportunities, such that we'll have enough resources to do our roads, to do our security. That's how you think.
Isn't it very frustrating to realize that we have a population that is very enterprising? The ingenuity of Ugandans is legendary. Like you said, if you go to Monambole today, you'll find people who have, started small businesses, mechanized, this startup small business that can run for 2 or 3 days. That's the local ingenuity. If only we can support that local ingenuity, that entrepreneurial spirit, the work ethos of Ugandan, we have somewhere to start from.
But the challenge is saying, I wish we can support. So supporting, a lot of people think, let's get money and pour into the hands of those people. What those people want. Today I was in the gym in the morning and I was chatting with a friend of mine who had just come from Medina in Saudi Arabia. He said Medina, when they were there, at any one time, they had 2 million tourists in that city. Everyone is making money. They were in a hotel which is 30, 40 stories. And people had to share rooms because there were not enough rooms, you know. And everybody's making money, whether you are a taxi driver, you're a food supplier, everyone is making money. That's what Ugandans need.
It's creating opportunities for them.
It's creating opportunities. Ugandans can actually take advantage of opportunities when they see them. That's why you see when there's a function, they're there trying to make business. And it's a great examples. And I'm not just a guy who talks about these things. An example is Kasese. You know that
the Rwenzori Marathon.
When we started Rwenzori Marathon, everybody thought, Kasese is where river attacks happens. Kasese is where all diseases start from. There's so much poverty. There's what?
You're closer to Congo.
We're closer to Congo. Even by the before any marathon, there was an attack in Kasese. You know that? Always passed through. And there was a time when people would say this year is not going to take place because there's been an attack. Then we keep quiet and push. But when we pushed, because we bring in Makerere University to do research on how much money is spent in the economy. The first year we brought 800 runners from 4 countries. Kasese retained 6 billion shillings because we did interviews with every runner, where they came from, how much did you spend, what did you spend on, did you spend on the supermarket, spend on fuel, spend on accommodation, spend on borders, and that's what they computed. The second year we had 2,200 runners from 17 countries. Almost 12 billion shillings was left in the economy. Kasese ran out of rooms. People had to sleep in cars. Fort Portal was full. And even as I speak right now, Fort Portal is filling up. Kasese filled up long time ago for this coming month. And everybody in Kasese is looking forward. Now, the last one we did was over 20 billion because we did now wider. Fort Portal, how much did Fort Portal get? How much did Kasese get? How much did Lubirizi get? And we're computerizing that for us to get there. But what I'm saying is that when you have 4,000 runners like last year,
and I'm
there
sure
were 10,000 people came to watch.
The locals in Kasese and Fort Portal are also investing in the same area, preparing themselves because the opportunity is there.
The statistics are there. When we went to Kasese 2022, there are 500 rooms. We brought 800 runners, plus people who came to watch them. There are many. Plus the community, because the community gets about 150,000 people that come to watch the Rwenzori Marathon every year. You come there, you'll see this year. Now, they have gone to 2,500 rooms. Because Kasese is a construction site. People are transforming their homes into accommodation themselves. There's a guy who met me on the finish line last year and said, Amos, I was building a house in Kasese. Then in the middle of it, I stopped. Because I didn't see the reason why I needed to have a house in Kasese. But because I've seen people sleeping in the cars, they have no accommodation. I am building.
All right. Amos, we're going to take a break and Hotseat will be right back. Welcome back to 933 KFM, and this is the Hot Seat. My name is Patrick Amara. My guest in the studio is the CEO of Great Lakes Safaris, Mr. Amos Wekesa, and we're talking about Uganda partaking in the Pamoja matches or the Chan championships taking place in East Africa, in Kampala, in Dar es Salaam, and in Nairobi. And in a few minutes from now, there will be a kickoff for the first game where Uganda takes on Algeria at the Nambole Stadium. And you know, the Ugandan fans could be like that tall of the player, because I mean it can be incredible with their vuvuzelas when they get on that Nambole. Many giants have fallen in Nambole, haven't they?
Oh yeah. Nambole is not a place where you come and play games when you are foreign. I've seen them beat Nigeria. No, those days I used to go to Nambole a lot. I used to play with my foreign friends. I used to play tennis with. We would carry drums and try to go to VIP. Of course, the last time we went, we had paid for VIP tickets. There was no VIP seats. So because we just want to enjoy the match and stuff like that. But the fun, Ugandans,
there's a lot of energy.
There's something about Ugandans. I think this Matoke, you know, Matoke has an element that brings, what do they call it?
Oh no.
Fun, yes.
No.
Let me tell you it's true. let me tell you it's true.
Kenyans have been laughing at us for eating matoke.
Recently, I don't know whether you follow me online. So we're in Dubai, and we meet some guy. There are two very famous brothers who do stuff for Adidas and Nike in Dubai, but they were originally from South Africa. Mixed guys. Those guys, after they did Dubai Marathon in January, they were interviewed by so many newspapers, interviewed by newspapers and TVs, and they asked them what their best marathon they'd ever run ever for them. They said it was Rwenzori Marathon in Uganda.
What?
Yes!
What an endorsement!
When they asked them, even the guys from Qatar, when they asked them
what is that?
What actually made sense, they said the support you get as you run along the route. You come to Kasese for Rwenzori month and see the guys are cheering. By 4 a.m., guys are on the streets. You know, the whole Kasese comes out and pours on the streets for the guys who have come in. And that is a spirit of Uganda. It's the same spirit you see in Namboli. That's who we are. Now, in marketing, this is something you take advantage of. People want to be amongst people who are happy.
That's true.
Now, but their happiness can end us in poverty because we're not leveraging it. It's what I'm talking about, like how we're not leveraging our weather. The number one attraction in the world.
Our food.
Our number one attraction is weather.
What I'm saying, our food. Our food.
Yeah. And Uganda is, I always tell everyone that Uganda are probably many countries, probably 15 countries a year. Minimum. I can assure you that I think God created Uganda last. He made mistakes with everyone else, and then he created Uganda last. Why? He gave us the best living conditions, weather and food. That's why we can abuse each other.
Now you remind me. You know, I met this Canadian tour operator who says knows you and was talking good things about you. Now I know when you talk about a lady called Lauren Simpson.
Yeah, she does TV stuff. Very high profile American Canadian.
About 50 North American
top
operators in Uganda.
Yeah.
And she was just speaking about.
I actually met her in Tanzania. I was doing business in Tanzania. She had brought big operators from the US. I said, please, can you bring them to Uganda? Uganda is beautiful. But she didn't believe it until she came to Uganda. She was shocked. She's a big TV personality and
yeah, she's a friend of mine now.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic.
So the thing is, we have so many things we can leverage it on.
Yeah.
But we don't take advantage.
Yeah.
And somehow maybe magically Uganda still survives. We still make ends meet. We still maybe add some money. We still make a name. We still talked about as a tourist destination. Things happen organically. Probably that is also what is our disadvantage because they are like, but we're moving, but we're making $1.6 billion out of tourism.
I see Ugandans saying,
and maybe some other countries which are even paying more.
I see one of the things that we use as Ugandans. Even educated people, they say we should live there. Then you're like, so where? There means what? It's what I'm talking about. And for me, I like numbers. I like statistics because statistics make a difference. You should be sitting there and saying, if Kenya is getting 180,000 English people alone, why would Uganda get 11,000? We can't even do 10%. Kenya gets over 320,000 Americans. Our highest in that Western world is the Americans. They're about 17,000. We're not getting 10% of what those Kenya gets. And you see, because these are, we're all dwarfs.
Kenya is also still getting Ugandans.
Absolutely. Uganda we're the highest, we're the number 2 after the US in terms of foreign tourists. We're the second highest. Tanzania is number. But Ugandans, we're over 200,000 Ugandans that go to Mombasa and their national parks and Nairobi every single year, spending an average of $2,000 each. So you can see how much money.
And yet the national parks are going not any different from Marshall Falls or Queen Elizabeth.
No, Uganda is unique. You know, God went and placed Uganda between the grasslands of East Africa, which is Kenya and Tanzania, and the tropical rainforests of Congo, which means we have wildlife of East Africa, which are the mammals, and then we have West African wildlife, which are primates, to the gorillas, the chimpanzees, the olive baboons, and all this kind of stuff, farvet monkeys, black and white colobus monkeys, all those are found in this country. So you have about 16 different species of primates. Now that is something, this combination is not a combination where you find in West Africa and also find in East Africa. So you can see the gorillas, chimpanzees easily in Kenya and Tanzania, like you can't see in Uganda.
And also the other thing about Uganda, almost every place you travel, even the terrain changes so quickly.
Absolutely.
You're not going to one vast, like if in Eastern Kenya, one vast flat place that goes forever unending. But here it will be changing everywhere you go.
There's nothing as diverse as Uganda. Look at Uganda with this size, the size of Oregon. Uganda is actually half size of Kenya. But we have 165 lakes. We have very many streams of rivers as a country. We have more inland water body than any country on the African continent, including Lake Victoria, the Nile. Our poverty is like intentional. And what makes Uganda's attractions very unique is that when you go to Murchison Falls, you have a river passing through it and a lake. So you have both, and then you have a tropical rainforest. So you have wildlife of the savannah. Those the lakes, the river, the water bodies, and then also the tropical rainforest.
Primates and all the kind of stuff.
Absolutely.
But well, the president has at least promised about 30 million to the players if they win. With the infrastructure, at least it is there. In Bunyoro, Hoima, the stadium is raising up. So before we host the AFCON, probably it will be ready. Infrastructure-wise,
I think infrastructure-wise we are getting there. The challenge we have is that all this infrastructure we're doing is from borrowed money. It's not money that, so you can't be very proud of money you're borrowing to put up infrastructure. When you put up infrastructure, like for example, Hoima, put up that leader, you're going to improve Gulu Airport, Nambola has been improved. What now we should be thinking about is how do we make business out of this infrastructure? We look at, for example, Egypt. When inland Europe is cold, the teams, football teams, swimming teams, come down to Egypt. Egypt has got stadiums that guys come and spend millions of dollars playing. Or sometimes they go to Malaga because Malaga is southern part of Spain. Because if you go to Madrid, even teams allowed in Madrid, those guys come down to Malaga during. I've been there when Dortmund has come all the way down to Malaga during their winter time.
Warmer place.
But if they are looking for a place like Egypt, which has terrible weather compared to Uganda, Uganda will be the most ideal place to make money with Nambole, with Hoima Airport. I mean Hoima Airport and Hoima Stadium, and then Lira. But it's not going to happen if there's no business thinking behind it. It's like how Rwanda is taking advantage of sports, basketball, the stadiums. Now they've also understood that they're doing it. They're properly positioning the country. It is not the positioning that we're thinking about as a people, generally speaking. That's what I'm talking about. But thankfully, of course, there is a new team at Uganda Tourism Board. And like I told the guys, don't keep them in too many useless meetings. Allow them to do some work. Give them resources. But also, of course, they will face challenges like higher government policies. You have things like procurement. So the guys in procurement don't understand how tourism works. Because if you go to Kenya, Kenya's tourism money is underclassified. Why? Because when there is an attack here, or in Kenya, like 2007, they had problems among themselves. They quickly get money and actually push to the international market to market the image of the Kenya. Us, you have to wait, do procurement, I don't know, do what.
No, so you even to make it worse, and everyone will talk about this, talk about the negativity of Uganda.
Absolutely, but you've got, I mean, if you get a lady like Juliana, she's coming from an environment of private sector thinking, UBL, and they're willing to listen. Francis, Nyende, these are very, very brilliant kids, brilliant young people from private sector thinking. But we need to create an environment where they can succeed, where we need to push them, where we give them targets, where we give them resources, where, even every private sector person supports them. And I've always told finance.
Can we say perhaps the Chan is going to be the dry run for AFCON? The problems we encounter, the mistakes we make now in 2027 should be corrected at AFCON.
I really doubt. Because we have had these things before. The challenge is that we don't learn.
I'm hoping the mistakes we make now will be corrected in 2027 when you're hosting AFCON. Really. Should be taking some lessons and be better.
And AFCON, it's the same thing we need to do.
It's bigger than China.
The same thing that we need to do. One, we need to find out which teams are actually going to play in Uganda, for example, among the AFCON. But we need to start now. So to tell the world, I told you, I went to Cape Town to do marketing. I was exhibiting at the Two Oceans. So many guys came to our stand and were telling us we're coming for AFCON, we're coming for Chan. But we're talking about Tanzania, Kenya. So I came back very angry and I said, guys, why I did not see a single South African or foreigner saying, because runners also love sports. I said, but it's because we have not positioned. So I said, let's position, let's try. It doesn't work.
Anyway, but for the countries that have superstars that are coming to Uganda, those countries probably, they will come. They will have to follow their players.
No, but you see, we can't be thinking in that direction. I am telling you that what we need now is to identify those stars who will come with those teams. Work with them in advance, such that they mobilize their followers from not just the countries they're coming from, through social media, engage their followers to actually encourage them to come to Uganda.
The local media in their countries.
Absolutely. You just imagine if you have, you give me an example of a player who will come. Egypt will bring maybe Mohamed Salah. You can do something with Mohamed Salah in advance. So Mohamed Salah comes during his time off next year. He sees about 10 gorillas, he goes to chimps, he showcases it and says, guys, in 2027 I'm going to be in Uganda. I want you in Uganda. Do you know what that can do for a country? Massive. It needs that kind of thinking. Number two, we need to push the people around the president to encourage him to say we are going to fight for either an opening match or a closing match. Are we together? That's very critical.
That's it is. Well, unfortunately, there are only two matches, opening and closing, so one country...
Because now we can say, yeah, we lost out on opening match, we have lost out on a closing match. Those are the matches that people really, really follow across the world.
Probably even AFCON is done, closing and opening.
Yeah, but that's why those guys, for them, they're aggressive. So when I was talking to somebody around the old man, he said, for us, it's not us who decides. I told him, no, those countries even bribe to make sure that they get those spots. They understand the value of PR and marketing.
Okay, we're going to take a break, and I'm sure when we come back, my producer will open the line so that we get to hear some of those Ugandans who are now very expectant about what the Ugandan Cranes could do. Maybe our record against Algeria is not a very good one. I think we've lost quite a number of matches against Algeria, but you never know, football being football, this could be our day tonight. Welcome back to 933 KFM, and this is the Hot Seat. My name is Patrick Amar. My guest in the studio is Amos Wekesa, who's the CEO of Great Lakes Safaris. But I think now you're going to be more known about Zori Marathon than something. I already have guys online. I don't know whether they're in Nambole or not, or they're heading to Nambole. I have a caller. Hello. Okay, go right ahead. Tell us about our preparation and how Uganda is doing in branding image Uganda.
Well, thank you so much. First of all, I want to appreciate you and the guests in the studio. Well, for me, as Juma, infrastructure, this is standard of Nambole and the other sisters stadium which have been under construction. That one alone is going to speak volume in terms of football in Uganda. As the gentleman said, when you plan for selling Ugandan brand, just do some advertisement, bring someone like Mohamed Salah. Yes, me as Juma may say that, okay, there is so much party, because bring them here. Ugandan football will improve. Okay?
Okay, thank you very much, Juma there, calling us from Lusega. I understand I have another call online. Hello.
Yes, Mr. Patrick. Thanks for the show.
You're welcome. Go right ahead with your comment or question.
Yes, I have a comment. This is a code. I happened to sit with Mr. Amos Wekesa having lunch. He might have forgotten, but a few years ago, I was with him and Mr. Moses Ruhanga and Mr. Young Joseph when I had gone to his plant in Soroti. And they were having lunch, and they jokingly asked him, why can't he join the government in the tourism sector? The answer I not say it, but for us to have followed Mr. Amos Wekesa, you want the things he puts on his socials. I know the government reads these things, but you don't even take them seriously. For my thing, his ideas, they are going to work in the next government. But this one, and the article, the good thing, the articles, we are going to follow them up. The ideas that you propose, how can we make Uganda to market it?
It looks like Juma has given up on this one.
Yeah, finally, if music has penetrated as an industry to the world, let's use that route. If it's sports, let the government keep on implementing and putting the funds to make sure if it's sports, let sports go and work out to market the country.
Thank you very much, Michael Koda there from SETA. I have another caller online. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
Great, thank you so much. My name is Austin, and I've also met Mr. Amos. I'm founder of Opportunites, And this conversation really, whenever I listen to Amos, I get excited, but I also feel like, should there be a button that can jumpstart this Uganda into this, make it a reality? So my immediate comment is that I think we need a systems approach to sports development for sure in this country. When Amos speaks about having a random runner win the Rwanda Marathon, that is the reality of our country. It's almost like whenever you cut the seed, it will surely germinate and grow and flourish. Now that's the expression of talent in this country. I need to say, I heard of a story of a young, serious girl who is a runner from West Nile. And this girl got scholarships, and she would run, by the way, all kinds of races, the fast one, the marathon, the short. And I'll kid you not, that this girl excelled so much so well, but was let down by the environment that she was in. But she eventually conceived without winning anything, and the uncle was so disappointed because he told me that he was preparing to get this girl a scout or someone to actually protect her, and but she had gotten to that level of winning.
You have started on hope and encouragement to hear from Amos, but also you ended on a sad note of a promising talent that ended just like that and shouldn't have been the case. Amos, how many people have pushed you to get into politics? I think you're about to give in now.
No. If you're listening out there, go and read my article today about my advocacy. I think you'll understand. I believe that leadership is actually influence. And you don't necessarily need an office to be. In fact, if you fight for an office, the chances are that you actually don't know what you're doing. Yeah. Because I don't need to be in an office for me to influence. You have not invited me here because I'm a minister or no. And people don't follow me because I'm a minister or something. No, I just tell you things that actually happen. I think that's leadership, in my opinion. And people like us don't necessarily need to be in politics because you're going to be bogged down with collective responsibility, things that don't make sense or involve.
By the way, there's a tendency in Uganda when they see somebody whom they think maybe has added value to himself, whom they think maybe is good, they say, but are you considering to join politics? Whether you are in the media, you're in sports, you're in tourism, so long as you do something that looks okay, beg your pardon, people will be asking you, why don't you join? And I'm always asking, why would you think that whoever you think is good should go to politics? And yet Uganda needs to be served in different
but what it really shows is that Uganda is actually yearning for leadership. People want to be led, and they try to look at leadership, output-led environment. You know what I'm talking about? And that's what they're yearning for. But you see, if you put a guy like me in government, you're going to be arguing with some guys, civil servants who probably don't understand what you're talking about. They might drop me, I don't know in which ministry. You start fighting about things that don't make sense instead of actually gaining results. And if I don't gain results, I just be frustrated. If you wish me well, wish me to be where I am.
Okay, I want to open the lines once more so that you who is listening, you can be a part of this discussion. All of us are very hopeful that perhaps Uganda Cranes could do, it's a seemingly very hard task to take down Algeria, because Algeria has quite a number of players who are playing in the major leagues in Europe and other places, and some of these players are the people who want to follow. I have a call online.
Good evening, Patrick.
Right, tell us your name and where you're calling from, and be very brief.
My name is Annette. I get depressed and happy at the same time when Mr. Okasa is speaking. I don't know, there must be a word for it. He encourages us, but at the same time it's very depressing to hear where we are when we could do better. And Mr. Okasa, please never think about joining sports. Joining politics, because that will be the end of you. You are where you are because of what you do. Thank you.
Okay, let me also pick another call online. Hello.
Good evening, Patrick.
Good evening. What's your name and where are you calling from? Let's go for it.
My name is Kashmir and I'm calling from here, Gayaza. I am a very big fan of your show, and I want to thank you for bringing in Amos Wekesa. I have for some time long followed him on his ex, and he's doing a great job for Uganda in regards to tourism. And I would wish, given an opportunity as the president of Uganda, I would appoint him as the...
Did you say your name is Casemiro?
Yes. Yes. Hello?
Yes, I have another call online. Hello. So, but Amos, it would be very good if the mistakes we are making in Chan are going to be corrected in AFCON. I'm very optimistic and hopeful. I want to be eternally optimistic that Ugandan leaders, especially in government and the Ministry of Sports, will be taking lessons, because when we host 2027 AFCON, which is bigger than Chan, whatever we've done now, this should be our dry run.
But you see, for you to take for leadership to take responsibility, you should have started now. Right now, we should assess how many African footballers actually came into the country, right? Number one, where do they sleep? How much they spend in the economy? Then, who are the people who follow them from the different countries? How many people have come from Algeria? Why did they come? How did they know about Uganda? Somebody should be doing that statistics. And then, we also ask ourselves, Kenya and Tanzania have been positioning themselves for a long time. What are they gaining now? If you don't think in that direction, you cannot wake up out of the blue and say we're going to wake up and be very serious. It won't happen. You have to, like I've told you, I can give you statistics of what we did last year in Kasese and Kampala, of how many people came from which country, how much they spend in the economy. I can tell you the guys we brought in for Rwenzori Marathon. I can account for it. But why? Because we had done the same thing the year before. Now this year we can estimate and say probably 20-30 billion shillings is going to be left in Kasese for Poto. And you can see in terms of accommodation, sleeping and everything like that. As organizers, we will only make profits in the 7th year. If I was supported by government of Uganda in this Rwenzori Marathon, I can make one of the best marathons on the continent because there is evidence, you know.
But you have evidence, money coming in, supporting the local economy,
yeah,
and they don't want or they don't get it.
You know, if I got just $1 million and said, Amos, we want to, every year, we want to give the best gifts for the best runner. And we say, anyone who's coming to Uganda and is going to win the Rwenzori Marathon, the number one will take home $40,000 or $50,000. Number two, $30,000. You know what that's going to happen? It's going to bring the Mofanas of this world. It's going to bring Cheptegeis in other countries to come and compete. But those are not the ones who spend money in the economy, but the guys who want to see Mofana, take a picture with him, are the ones who spend money in the economy. So use them to attract them. That's what I'm telling you. When you bring Salah, he sees the country. People are going to be drawn by him, the ones who have the money to spend. That's how you think if you want to position the product.
Okay. What do you think our chances are now, coming back to football in this CHAN competition?
I think we may do well. The amount of support that guys are going to have in Namboli is crazy, and you can see the boys you've been watching the interviews. They're really up for the fight. Yes, like you said, Algeria is not an easy team, but I don't also believe that Uganda is an easy team. I think in the home ground, on the home turf, let me tell you one thing I can tell you that all of them are also looking for opportunities. If they play well as individuals, and as part of the group, the scouts.
The scouts are here.
Absolutely.
What's going to be your parting shot?
I don't think I have a parting shot. I've said everything that we should be saying. If you have listened in and taken notes, you should realize that I've said everything that I should say. We have a great country, but we have to focus in order for us to get out of this great country. And the reason why we have to focus is because we are producing 1.3 to 1.5 million new Ugandans every year. If we don't work hard, we will be sinking with that population.
They told us to go into production, we went into reproduction. and so that's Amos Wekesa, CEO Great Lakes Safaris, and also the man behind the Rwenzori Marathon. I'm told soon you'll be taking the Mombasa Marathon. Is that true? Or
it wasn't for the news.
Good night and God bless you again.